السلام عليكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله محمد سيد الأولين والآخرين. مدد يا رسول، مدد يا سادة أصحابه، مدد يا ما شاء الله دستور مولا شاء الله. هذا سيدنا محمد ناظر كان مدد طريقتنا الصحابة والخير في الجمعية. إن الشر الدواب الذين عند الله لا يعقلون. صدق الله العظيم. Allah Azze ve Celle en kötü mahlukat olan kim diyor?
Allah Almighty says, who are the worst of all creatures?
Akılları olmayan, akıllı olup da onu kullanmayan.
It is those who don't have reason or a mind, or better say, who have a reason and a mind but don't use it.
Kafirler, Allah'a inanmayanlar.
It is the disbelievers who do not believe in Allah Almighty.
Onlar en şerri mahlukattır.
They are the worst and most evil of all creatures.
Çünkü her şey Allah Azze ve Celle'yi tesbih eder.
Everything praises the Lord Allah Almighty.
Allah'a tazim eder, Allah'ı kabul eder.
Everything and everything in creation shows reverence to Allah Almighty and praises and exalts Allah Almighty.
Allah'ı kabul etmeyenler, onlar en kötü mahlukat olarak.
And those who do not accept Allah Almighty are the worst of all creatures.
Allah indinde en kötü mahlukat onlar olduğu için
In the divine presence, those who do not accept Allah Almighty are considered the worst of all creatures.
İnsanların içinde de kötülükten başka şey yapmazlar.
And those who do not accept Allah Almighty, who do not believe in Allah Almighty, also do nothing but badness among humans.
İyilik yapıyoruz deseler bile onların iyiliklerinde şer var.
Even though they may claim to do goodness, there is evil and badness in what they claim to be good.
Hayır yok.
There is no blessing in what they do.
İyilik yok.
There is no goodness in what they do.
Allah Azze ve Celle'nin beraber olmayan mahlukat, onlar uzak, insanlıktan uzak.
Those who are not with Allah Almighty, those creatures who are far away from Allah Almighty and do not accept Allah Almighty, there is badness and evil in what they do.
İyilikten uzak, her türlü güzellikten de uzak onlar.
And as they are far away from Allah Almighty, they are far away from goodness, they are far away from humanity.
Onun için Allah'la beraber olan o güzel, iyi, Allah'ın sevdiği kullar olur.
And those who are with Allah Almighty, those who are close to Allah Almighty, are servants of Allah Almighty, who have goodness, who have beauty.
Allah'ın sevmediği kullar sevilmez.
And those who are not liked and do not believe in Allah Almighty and are disliked in the divine presence, they are also people who are disliked among humans.
Çünkü Allah Azze ve Celle ben bu kulumu sevdim diye söyler. İnsanlar onu sever.
When Allah Almighty loves somebody, He Almighty proclaims that I love that servant, and let everyone else love him, and then all humans love that holy servant.
Ben bu mahlukatı sevmedim der. Yani insanlar sevmez. Ne kadar.
And when Allah Almighty proclaims that I dislike that creature, then nobody's going to like him.
Sevdim deseler bile onlar sevgi, nefis sevgi şeyi.
And people around that person may claim to love that person, but that is not true love which they have. It is a love that is driven by their egos.
Nefis sevgisi Allah sevgisi başkadır.
They may love that person for the sake of their egos, but that love of the ego is different of what it means to love for the sake of Allah Almighty.
Nefsinin sevgisi hiçbir işe yaramayan bir sevgidir.
The love of the ego is a kind of love that is of no use, with no benefit.
Onun kıymeti yok.
That love of the ego, that so-called love of the ego, has no value,
Devamlılığı yok.
and it is not persistent.
Hiçbir faydası yok. Kötülükten başka bir şey yok.
And it will not last. It does not have any benefit, and all that comes from the ego and that so-called love of the ego only brings forth badness.
Onun için Allah Azze ve Celle akıl vermiş.
Allah Almighty has given humans a mind to think,
Akıl süsü, alakru zine diyor. İnsanın süsü
and the mind is a human's adornment.
aklıdır. Aklını doğruyu hakkı görmek
And Allah Almighty has given us a mind to see what is right and to distinguish what is right from wrong.
için vermiş Allah Azze ve Celle. Onu gördükten sonra onun işi iyidir.
And Allah Almighty has given us a mind so that we may use our mind in order to realize what is good. And those who use their minds to see what is good, they do good.
Yolu açıktır.
Their way ahead of them is open,
Yol güzeldir.
and the way they follow is beautiful.
O öteki türlü onu nefis için, hava için kullandıktan sonra
However, if you use your mind for the sake of your ego or the sake of your desires,
o yerinde kullanılmamış olur.
then you will not have used your mind properly.
Zayi olur.
You will have wasted your mind.
Allah muhafaza etsin.
May Allah Almighty protect us from doing so.
Onun için devam ediyoruz. Allah akıl fikir versin deriz.
Therefore, we always ask Allah Almighty to give us mind and reason and to use them properly and to have common sense.
Akıl fikir olunca güzel şeyler oldu.
And when you use your mind and your reason, then beautiful things will come forth.
Akılsız insan iyi insan değil.
A mindless person is not a good person.
Aklını kaçırmış olan insan onu ya tımarhaneye koyarlar ya başka bir şey yaparlar.
A person who has lost his mind has gone crazy, and that person is put into a mental house or somewhere else.
Allah muhafaza etsin.
May Allah Almighty protect us.
Allah hepimize kuvveti iman versin inşallah.
And may Allah Almighty grant us all a strong faith.
Allah ve minallah tevfik. El Fatiha.